Welcome to another edition of Strange New Pod. I'm your Fleet Admiral and host, Julian Brown, alongside the best bridge crew this side of the Romulan neutral zone, right after a Constitution class refit. That's right. Vice Admiral Eric is here. It's been a bit. What's going on? And can't avoid that giant green hand flying in space. Captain Hawk is here looking for salt in all the wrong places. And Captain MC is here having all the tea with T'Pau. How we doing?
Doing okay. I think I'm spilling the tea with T'Pau.
You're spilling the tea with T'Pau.
I want to find out all the information about Sarek.
Yes. Eric, you were on like some shore leave, man. What's going on? How's life?
Oh, you know.
Same old. Same old.
I don't know. Busy and tiring.
Giant children. Bunnies.
Full-time dance dad now.
No. Dance season is done. Now it's soccer. Good. So I'm at the pitch every day.
Just I feel like a fit.
That would be my daughters. Like they elbows up and just go through the other girls. I love it.
Ah, nice. nice. Well, we are here to hit that red alert button, which I won't do because it's silly, even though I like it usually. On Akiva Goldsman, his rumored pitch to continue the original series after Strange New Worlds. It has been talked about a lot. Everybody knows Akiva loves TOS. If you don't know who Akiva Goldsman is, by the way, you're either living under a rock or just don't pay attention to these things.
You hate movies and television.
Yeah, you hate movies and television, but he is the co-showrunner of Strange New Worlds, and he has hinted more than a few times about wanting to continue the original series. We are going to talk about everything we would want from that, everything we wouldn't want, where it should begin, where it shouldn't begin, and there'll probably be some sass about it. I'm assuming there's going to be some sass about it, and maybe not some sass. I don't know. Sass from us? No.
Just at you, MC.
Quick disclaimer for those people at the internet who are like, "Oh, this isn't true. Like, where did this come from?" Blah 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 blah. This is speculative. Even like he hasn't like straight out said this is happening. He has said that he'd like to do it, but it's not greenlit or official yet. This is speculative and unconfirmed. We're having some fun with it in an episode. So
we've done several episodes about possible Kelvin continuations. We could do what we want, talking about once until once.
So before we get to all that, though, Eric, we need to thank our amazing patron collective patron collective members at the Ready Room level and above, please.
Thank you to Simon Stager, Jeff Reeve, Tallulah, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joe Saporito, Noe Santo, Kung Hui, Takako Nagumo, Fernando Nogales, SMK, Colin Davidson, Shatterhand 2049, Jesco, Michael Graham, Emily and Travis, Maggie Light, Wayne Ritz, Gonavark, Sean, Jay Howard, Mahalani Uchiyama, Matt Harker, Joshua Lewis, Tara Poland, Slope 74, Rude Parakeet, Adam Sanders, Aaron W., Carl Angoli, Michael Kwan, Caitlin, Elizabeth Dean, Jim McMahon, Sedano 317, Puka Hair, 3 Fries Short, Cat Tip, Tripping the Read Alert over a Pineapple, Sean Manning, Asher at the Bat, Chris Waterman, RHCB, Martin Simpson, Norman Butchwald, David Prime Hildebrand, Taryn J. Robinson, Rob Griner, Eric the Red, Trouble, Jamie Roberts, Honeyberry, Paul Taylor Pitt, Brett Jones, Michelle P., Margin Walker 82, Melissa Bartel, Jesse Robbins, Kim, Chris Fenoglio, and our newest collective member, Felix Dax.
Felix Dax. Yeah, I forgot to put the newest part out. They were new last week, but they get to be new this week again.
Yeah.
So, why not?
Still got the new member smell.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Of course, a very big thank you guys to our Badmirals, our EPs who keep, I kept this part in because we talked about the Bork a couple of weeks ago. Our alcoves running. That's not right. Who keeps the miracle worker of Scotty doing his miracle worker stuff in engineering, all that fun stuff. Yes, our amazing EP, Simon Stager, Chris Waterman, Tara Poland, Brett Jones, Dana, Matt Harker, Jim McMahon, and we have a new one, Maggie Light, and our newest Badmiral. This is new this week.
Oh,
one of our oldest listeners.
Oh yeah.
Fernanda Feff is a Badmiral now. So welcome to the chair or whatever we call the Badmirals Club. We have a lot of names for it. Let's get to some brief news. Giraffe is not here tonight because she is at Baycon in San Francisco, hosting a lot of panels, having a lot of fun, doing a lot of amazing cosplays. So if you are going, make sure to go check her out, go to her panels, say hi. She has stickers apparently. So yeah.
A panel with Amy too.
She's doing a panel with Amy. I think she's doing a couple of panels with Amy.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And then
so if you see Amy, say hi to her too.
Yeah, say hi to Amy as well. And listen to Alternative Space. There is a new episode that's available to patrons right now with Rosie Johnson, and that'll be available to everyone, the general public, this coming Wednesday. So Alternative Space is one of the shows on our defuncto, or whatever you want to call it, podcast network that we've inadvertently started. Don't forget to join us on Discord for our Strange New Worlds watch-alongs. We just finished episode 7 of season 1, The Serene Squall. I said "arr" a lot because I'm a child when it comes to pirates. I love them. And if you join us and you haven't joined us yet, you'll be entered to win a copy of season 2 on 4K Steelbook Collector's Edition. So we're doing those usually at 9 p.m. Eastern time every single night. So come check that out. And then finally, I thought that I did my laundry with these shirts in them. I didn't. So I'm not wearing our merch tonight. But we have merch designed by Eric and MC, and it is for you to go buy right now. A lot of you, after I said go buy stuff, literally while we were potting, bought stuff. Go buy more. Strange New Pod.
And we have some new stuff.
Yeah. Oh,
there's also another shirt that's gonna come, and I'm just gonna drop it. I'm not gonna even show you it.
Wait, we have new stuff?
I'm putting something up probably in the next week.
We have new stuff?
You put up a mug.
Oh, the mug is not official yet. It's there. You could buy it if you want, but don't buy it. It's lame. We're gonna
shirt though. There's gonna be a shirt. You're gonna be upset about it. I love it.
Oh no.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Also, we are talking about releasing some Strange New World shirts for the upcoming season, so stay tuned. We'll see if we can get those up. I miss anything? Anything else? Any other news?
You may see us go live on Twitch a couple times in the next week leading up to the premiere of season 3 of Strange New Worlds. So if you see it, that's just me testing out stuff.
The Patreon stuff went out. Yes.
No, it did not go out, but it has been ordered.
Okay.
It has been ordered. The postcards are arriving to my place on Monday, and the magnet we did the magnet. It's coming. It's we needed to change it up a tiny bit, but it's going to be really cool. So yeah, that stuff is coming to patrons, and that's it. Any other news? No? Good.
We're good.
Let's talk about what the rumors are. All right. So Akiva Goldsman on more than one occasion has talked about his love for TOS and maybe wanting to continue Strange New Worlds once it's over, and we now know it has an ending. And besides Starfleet Academy and Tawny series, there's not other Trek really on the horizon. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna play a clip. I'm gonna ask you guys to mute your mics while this is on, where Akiva pretty much this time really says, let's do this thing. So let's listen to what he had to say. He said this at Tribeca during the Q&A after the premiere of season 3. So let's have a listen.
We made made a promise to ourselves that we would arc the show into TOS, right? And so we sort of thought, well, 5-year mission, okay, can we do 5 years? And we're really doing almost 5 for it, and a little more than a half, right? And we needed to be able to tell that story, because right now, people are in mid-stage development. How do they become who they are? What happens to some of them? Like, those are questions that we knew we needed to answer. And so that's our 5-year plan. And then we run into TOS. But they're not dying, and we have those sets.
Hey, Paramount, just saying.
I mean, that's as big as an indicator as you can get. I mean, that's pretty much like what they said when they wanted to start Strange New Worlds. What are you guys' thoughts on this? I didn't do an order for tonight. I'm just going to go by my windows counterclockwise. But even though Hawk, you go first this time because I heard you want to go first, but then it'll be MC, Hawk, Eric. Hawk, go ahead.
I don't know his face. He's all but admitting that's where they're going with this. You know, that they already have the sets. They're actively thinking about the timeline and what they've already created. And like we've been suspicious all along since Strange New Worlds and that, introducing, with Uhura being cast for it, and Scotty last year, Spock already in place since 2018. Like, how much more confirmation do we need? Right?
Yeah. Agreed. We'll keep going in that order. Eric.
I mean, those sets are expensive, and they're not going anywhere. Right?
Nope.
I mean, it makes sense. Like they named the studio the Star Trek one, right?
The Star Trek studio, yeah.
So,
at Pinewood, right?
Yeah, Pinewood, Toronto.
Yeah,
which is actually in Mississauga, but whatever. That doesn't matter. But yeah, I don't see why not. I don't mind it. I don't mind it, especially with the gap that we'll talk about that in a bit, right? So
yeah.
So yeah. Like that makes sense. Everyone likes the cast that they've like of the TOS characters. Everyone likes the people that they've cast so far. So, it makes sense.
I agree.
They have apartments in Toronto.
They do. It's true. They do.
You don't take up a lease without a confirmation of some future work.
Right. MC?
Just very quick as an aside, everybody in Mississauga, if they're speaking to somebody who doesn't live in Toronto, tells people they live in Toronto. But as for the actual show, I'm not at all surprised that they should want to continue it. It does feel like a fairly natural progression. I will talk about my few reservations that I have during this conversation, but one that I think is the first one that comes to mind for me is Hawk mentioned that Ethan Peck has been playing Spock since 2018, and assuming the show, which I am almost certain would be called Star Trek 5-Year Mission, especially considering Paramount's seemingly formula for these show lengths, it makes sense to me. It would be a very long time for him to be playing one role, and people do like to have job security, but I can see some of the cast that have been playing these roles for a long time maybe getting some fatigue after doing two potentially 5-year shows in a row.
I will say, I would have to assume, I wish sometimes that we had contract information. I have to assume they're getting paid very well to play these roles.
I don't.
So, I mean, money does talk, especially in this economy.
Yeah.
I agree with you, MC, because we know Leonard Nimoy went through it, playing Spock for so long. But job security is a lot more important, I think, now than it was in the 60s. I could be wrong about that too. I didn't grow up then, but Any people that did grow up then, tell me how job security was in the 60s, please.
Probably terrible.
Probably terrible. It's always been terrible.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the fact what Felix said in the chat, that Kirk already has been there very early in Strange New Worlds, literally in the finale of season 1. Mm-hmm. I feel like you don't do that for no reason, right? He didn't need to be. Everybody knows how I feel about him. I like him a lot. But it didn't need to be done. But here he is, and he's playing a prominent role in every season so far. So
how much did they show of him in the trailer? Just out of curiosity.
No, a good amount, a very good amount.
Decent amount.
Yeah. Though people will be surprised about a couple of things with Kirk. No spoilers, obviously, but yeah. I don't know the answer to this. I don't know if you guys know the answer to this or did any research. Do we know when this rumor first surfaced? Do you think when Paul Wesley showed up as Kirk, when they showed that picture, like I feel like chatter started around then.
I feel like just because especially there was a lot of backlash when they first showed him, but just because they're like, oh, Kirk's come back. But like when we saw the episode, everyone was just like, he's so good. Mm-hmm. Like it just, yeah. Sorry, MC. Yeah. I think I went out of order.
It's okay. We're gonna play fast and loose tonight. It's gonna be fun.
Okay. So basically, I don't know.
Let MC go.
Oh, okay. MC, go for it.
Yeah. Well, I think, as soon as we saw a picture of Paul Wesley as Kirk, it was kind of like that moment when we heard the Enterprise over the comm and Discovery. Basically, as soon as that happened, people were talking about the possibility of Strange New Worlds. So I think it's kind of the same thing. It feels like the natural progression, and obviously the producers are like, I don't think that there were rumors. I think that there was speculation, and speculation turned into rumors, and it's that Ouroboros of, what's actual rumor, what's speculation. But I think this is one of the first really big we might do this. So, which makes sense because they would focus on Strange New Worlds while they were still doing Strange New Worlds, and now that that's kind of starting to wrap up, now they can start talking about the next thing.
That's a good point.
I mean, it's sort of like what they did with Disco, right? They did the Enterprise, and everyone's like, we need Pike on this, we need a series, and then they did it,
and then we were birthed.
Yep. Right?
Yep.
Hawk.
Honestly, I feel like this is one of those things where it's just kind of almost manifests itself through just sheer will of the internet. I mean, casting Spock in season 2 and Pike and exploring that timeline
and Una
just felt natural in that. It was a way of keeping, as Discovery diverged and moved into the future, and that they felt they opened a window into the past as well, and that giving birth to Strange New Worlds. So I'm going to say it's I don't know if this it was rumored recently or not. It just seems like it was inevitable. They really put an effort into casting and keeping these characters alive. Possibly for the future. As far as Paul Wesley as Kirk and that, I believe in season 2, field testing him with Tomorrow, giving him a spotlight for a SNW show, and that was a good indication that they have long-term plans.
I mean, I feel like this would have been less likely if they didn't keep bringing him back, right? If it was a one and done,
right,
or first season, it would have just been okay, cool, we saw Kirk, maybe we'll see one of the others later. But they keep bringing him back, and now they've added another person, right, to the crew.
Right.
So it just seems like they're building.
Yeah, I think that's so much of why I think realistically why these rumors started and why Akiva keeps saying it is because these people keep showing up on the show and they're doing a great job with all of them so far. Paul Wesley is great. Martin Quinn is really good as Scotty. We've got Celia killing it as Uhura. It's going well. So yeah, it's really interesting. MC, it looked like you wanted to say something.
I was going to mention Celia because I thought you were going to leave her out.
Would I ever? Come on.
Now, do we get to see
I don't know. You forget to mention your co-host a lot of the time.
Wow, I haven't done one of these in a while.
Are you
kidding me?
Damn, I just got called the fuck out.
Whoa.
Listen, I just mentioned Martin Quinn, who plays Squad. So real quick, I'm on a bunch of new meds. I am going through stuff, so I'm going to make a lot of mistakes tonight. Thank you. And bear with me, please. Martin Quinn is killing it so far in the little that we've seen from him as Scotty. It just seems like we're on track to meet like other characters. How does like all these characters we're seeing and other maybe story things that we may not be paying too much attention to kind of play into the current events of Strange New Worlds and TOS maybe being after it? MC.
Felix in the chat also mentioned Jess Bush as
Jess Bush as Chapel.
Yeah.
Yes.
But now I just completely blanked on the question, so it's not only you.
Don't worry, I blanked on it too.
It's okay. How does this like rumor play into what we're seeing in the current events of Strange New Worlds right now? Casting, maybe storyline things that we're missing.
I mean, I don't know how much it plays into things other than it just being this is how Strange New Worlds was always going to go, because it had a very specific progression. Like it was going to be Pike leaving Discovery to come back to the Enterprise, and we knew because of the vision on Borith that, he's always heading to that specific moment where he ends up in the beep chair, and to get to that moment he got to hand the Enterprise over to Kirk. So I think the building up that they've done of various things like that huge moment in season 2 where they actually had Spock and Kirk meet for the first time, like these are moments that make sense for Strange New Worlds, but then they also potentially build a foundation for a new series.
Yeah, agreed. Hawk?
Yeah, same. Like currently to the current time events of Strange New World. I mean, that's the thing is like it's all open right now as far as like the events. But yeah, I agree. They're putting a lot of effort into establishing the crew early on. They're getting their pieces into place.
For sure. Eric?
I mean, we're going to see Pike get promoted to fleet captain, right? Before he goes into beep beep.
So that's interesting because he's already technically been promoted to fleet captain once. We know he does become fleet captain again, but does that happen after he hands the Enterprise off to Kirk?
Yeah, I assume he becomes that and then, gives it to Kirk and then beep beep.
Yeah.
On a mission probably with Kirk. But like we've seen so much like overarching series, like storylines, and we've seen a whole thing with the Gorn, right? And we know that people have gotten captured, and I assume that we're going to get more medical stuff. So I don't know why, but I assume Bones is coming soon.
And I really hope that. I really hope not. I've said this on a couple of shows. I really hope not, because Bones is so tied to Jim and not like any of the other characters. I can kind of on
the cast.
Oh,
like you mean for him. Like we start to see people that are important to.
Oh, okay. Then, like as a one-off. Yeah.
It makes sense that I don't know. Sorry.
I think I'd be okay with Bones coming in if they confirm that this show was going to happen, and it's like, okay, so we're going to actually start doing casting for, the TOS crew, and maybe if he showed up in say the second to last episode of Strange New Worlds altogether, where it's just like him coming in because he's going to be coming onto the Enterprise. I don't think that the beep beep chair is going to be the last thing that happens to Pike on the show. That's just too sad. I think the last thing is going to be him handing the ship over to Kirk. Mm-hmm. But I do think before that, he's going to be promoting all of the people on the show who are not at their TOS level yet. So like Uhura ends up becoming lieutenant, Spock becomes lieutenant commander, and I think Scotty also is lieutenant commander in TOS. I can't remember.
And just to go off on that, MC, I think it would be great, like instead of ending it on like a sad note, and I'll actually touch on that in a second, of seeing Una get her own command. Like, I think that would be great because she deserves it. Yeah. And we don't know her fate. It's wide open. It could be whatever they want it to be, and hopefully they do something positive with that.
Short treks.
Did everybody go? I'm all fuzzy on that one. Yeah, we just kind of kept going. God, I had something about bones and stuff, and I totally lost it. So I will come back to it. Let's talk about where we want this to pick up. What are like kind of the realistic options and the placements in the timeline? Let's talk about first pre the Man Trap, which is the first aired episode of the original series. Like Kirk's 5-year mission origins, like the first time that he takes Enterprise out of space dock. What do we think about this, MC?
So I think that this is probably the most realistic option, because I don't think that they want to create a broken line. I think they want to go straight from Strange New Worlds into, I'm still going to call it the 5-year mission, because I want to manifest this. I like it.
Manifest it into existence. I dig it.
And it just makes sense to me. And also considering the actors that they have, I don't think that they would want to age them up anymore. So it makes sense for them to stay like this. One thing, just going off of this list, I think that probably the most realistic way for them to do this is they're just missions that happened between the missions that happened in TOS.
That's a really interesting take. Yeah.
Oh, character that I think that they should bring in if we're doing it pre-Man Trap. Gary Mitchell.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yes. Yeah. Hawk?
It seems like a logical place for them to start, like a pre-Man Trap, but at the same time kind of puts them behind a Canon wall, so that there's events that they wouldn't be able to, run through. They might introduce Gary Mitchell in that, but we won't get they'll be kind of locked behind, the 2S's, what's the name of it?
Where No Man Has Gone Before. You're on it.
Yeah, that's it. And that's my only fear is the Canon stuff, and that they might not be able to they wouldn't be able to cover. And I probably wouldn't want them to just recreate old episodes like that anyways. We're looking for new adventures, obviously, and stuff that we haven't seen. That'd be the only caveat that, it's you're behind a Canon wall. Yeah.
Well, I think that's the problem with this in general. We know when Kirk dies, we have a pretty solid idea of most of his life, most of Spock's life. There's going to have to be some, wiggle for everything for any of these.
Yeah. Before I go to Eric, just want to say that Jedi Cat loves your comment. Yes, bring on Gary Mitchell. Let's do it. And before I forget, because I remember what I was going to say before, interesting about where Strange New Worlds is going to end, because when I interviewed Akiva on the red carpet at Tribeca, he mentioned 5 years, 5 seasons. So I really think that each season is meant to be a year. Mm-hmm. So we know that Pike won't end up in Beep Beep on this show, because it happened. When he talks to Spock in Strange New Worlds, the pilot, he goes, almost a decade. Is that a long time? Man, right in talking about it, it seems so short. But so if it's 5 seasons, I think it's actually 2 years after he gives up command. So it would be the 7th year. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Pike in the Beep Beep chair in the series finale or anything. So, Eric, about a pre-Man Trap TOS, or the 5-year mission, as MC is dubbing it.
Yeah, I would love to see Star Trek 5-year mission to be this era. I love year one things, for any comic book thing. So I love seeing how, especially since he already knows some of the crew, I would love to see him gel with his own crew, having, he's had a command. He has a command right, that we've seen. But him being like the lead of this ship, like that's the head of the fleet, like that just seems like such a big endeavor for him, especially for someone being so young. And like, man, that's what I love about the Kelvin verse. Like, it's him being new and him like feeling for his cast, or like his cast, for his crew, and like getting to know them, and then just everyone just gelling to that crew that we eventually see. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see them like become the crew that we know them to be.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Plus I want to see like a 12-year-old Chekov or something.
He'd be 12. Yeah. Like 13 or 14.
That'd be amazing. Like that's exciting.
He's the original Wesley.
Yeah, he is. Really. Like, all of these people, like I remember growing up and seeing Sulu and being like, holy shit, that's amazing. Seeing an Asian person driving well. No, I'm just joking.
I hate that you said that, because now I have to agree with you.
No, it's just amazing seeing him on TV being a young kid. But like, I can't wait to see that iteration again. Like, it's exciting. Like, I can't wait to see them all gel again. Like, that's so awesome.
Let me put this to you, because Jedi Cat asked us in the chat, if they bring in Sulu, would he be a physicist like we see him in Where No Man Has Gone Before, like in that group?
That would be cool. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Still make him gay, because that would be amazing as well. Like,
100%.
They have to do that. Like,
In the comics, I believe he's Pan.
okay.
Okay.
That's very cool too.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, it's me. I'm not so much in wanting it to be pre-TOS, pre-Mantrap. I would probably side more with what MC was saying about, like, why not just do it in between the episodes that are already established? Like, could be just like totally serialized missions. It didn't fucking matter back then anyway. Kirk could get like his stomach slashed open in one episode and be perfectly fine the next. Like, Stranger Worlds is already kind of establishing to just keep doing that, maybe, but that's also not my desired, I'll talk about what it is in a bit, location for where the 5-year mission, we're gonna make that happen, would take place.
I have a pitch that probably fits best in this particular era. It's not going to happen, but I want to pitch it anyways. Star Trek, the original series, Lower Decks.
Oh, jeez.
No, focusing on Sulu, Chekov, Uhura, and I mean, you still have like Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, but you know they're the smaller role.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about The Lost Years, which has been done by some amazingly done fan series in Star Trek Continues and Star Trek Phase 2. They did a killer job with these. The comics has also done a great job with these, but that would be between the series finale of TOS, which, can you even call it a series finale? Turnabout Intruder, and the motion picture, basically that lead up to Jim giving up the chair and becoming an admiral. What do we think about this being like they do like a 3 years later, MC?
Sure, I like this idea just fine, because they never did get to finish their 5-year mission. It was only a 3-year mission or whatever. So it's not my favorite. My favorite is just to do things that we didn't see in TOS or slightly before it. But this is probably my next preferred one, though. I mean, it's also kind of the animated series.
Yeah, and that, I'm going to kind of actually combine these two talking points, I think, because we could say post Turnabout Intruder and post animated series, and that lead up to the motion picture, because leaving the animated series out of there and giving its own maybe canon adjacent, depending on how you look at it. Let's just say post Turnabout, post animated series. MC's giving me a look.
I mean, give me post animated series and put Emrys and Eric's actually on the ship.
Well, yeah, and we're gonna talk about that later, but I think that that's a great way to introduce those characters if they have the fucking makeup budgets, dude.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Hug.
This is more of an exciting possibility because it firmly establishes like everything in TOS has already been happened in that, and that we continue on from that. But it also helps that there could be callbacks, to TOS in future episodes of, whatever iteration this becomes. Let's just call it, 5-year mission.
Yeah.
I'm making it happen.
Yeah. And it really kind of, it opens up a lot of space, because there's so much after that they can explore.
100%.
Yeah. And another point I'll probably save till we get to the TMP discussion, but like time-wise, this seems like the best choice. It gives them a lot of options.
Yeah, agreed. Eric?
I like this idea. I think it's really interesting. It'd be neat to see why Kirk, gave up the chair. Like, he loves that ship, like, more than anything. So to see, it's hard to think of Wesley, going down the more jaded route, but it'd be neat to see him go that way, right? Like, start as optimistic as he is at the end of TOS, and then slowly something happens, I guess. I don't know. That'd be really interesting to see. Although I don't want it to be stupid dark. Like, I like the vibe that.
Yeah, I don't think you need to make it dark to show like what that is. And I think you just brought up a great point about that being a story that they focus on, because that's how you introduce Carol Marcus, right? Maybe you see young David in these episodes, right? Like a really great way. Maybe part of that is maybe wanting to try and make things work with Carol, and maybe things do work for a little bit, but not enough for David to really remember him. It's a great story. There's so many stories they could tell there.
Mm-hmm. It's weird because he already said that she's pregnant in this. So by the time he has the Enterprise, that kid's got to be at least 3 or 4, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
People get memories still around that time. I think more cemented memories around like 10,
Yeah.
8 to 10. Yeah. So,
Yum Yum Pod Roads, just show us the most well-kept secret of Star Trek, Sam Kirk's wife. Yeah, agreed with that as well. And child, by the way. Yeah, no, this is my preferred. This is where I'd like to see the series go. You could do so much because it's open. You have years before the motion picture of canon that has been established nowhere. So just do it, right? Do those stories, Spock inching closer and closer to attempting Kolinar. Chekov becoming even more of a whiz kid and maybe thinking about him leaving the Enterprise, because when we see him in Wrath of Khan, he's on Reliant. There's a lot of cool stories to tell during this time. And like MC said, introduce those characters from the animated series, put them on the bridge. I think it could be great. I really do. This is exactly where I want them to put the show.
and it's not like the people that they've cast would have to be that much older, right?
No,
they still would look exactly pretty much the same. So
no, and it's amazing what you could do with makeup these days too, right? Like, little subtle things that they could do to make them maybe seem a little bit.
I mean, 30-year-olds look like 20-year-olds now.
Right? Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about another option. This is kind of maybe the final option that they could really get away with, and that's after the motion picture and before the Wrath of Khan. It's that transitional area, right? The 70s uniforms, new vibe, and then they do another 5-year mission when Kirk takes back the Enterprise. What do we think about post motion picture, MC?
I don't. This, I think, is my least favorite of these options. I think it's getting too far away from what Akiva Goldsman was talking about, because, I mean, also in the motion picture, the Enterprise goes through a refit. So, I mean, like, his whole thing is we still got the sets. I mean, they have to redo the sets then, and the uniforms change. And it's such a jump. Like, for classic Trek fans, we would be, fine. It's like, oh, okay, groovy. We get where everybody is at this point. But for people who are just into Strange New Worlds, it would be much too jarring.
Yeah, that's a good point. I agree, MC. Hawk?
The one thing that plays against this is, well, actually, it's in some aspects it works in that. Because I'm just looking at ages here, but during TMP, like Shatner was 49, right? Paul Wesley is 42 right now. So almost the same age, right? but Celia Rose Gooding is like 25 right now. Ethan Peck is 39, so he's kind of close there. I'm just worried about that disparity, right?
There would be one for sure.
Yeah, because I was
49 in the 80s and 42 in the 2020s is very different.
Nichelle Nichols was just a year younger than Shatner.
Yeah, that's wild to me, by the way. Yeah.
So that's the only thing I kind of think plays against them, you know. And like you said, it's like, you know, like 40-year-olds look like 30-year-olds, and like, you know, the world is a little topsy-turvy as compared to back then. So
yeah. Felix was asking, she's already introduced, Sam's wife. We just haven't seen her yet, right? Yes. Jim, when he beams up in the 6th episode of season 2, I believe 6, where he beams aboard and he's like, he just asks simply like, how's the family? So he has the family. Are there any other pros and cons about each of these options that we want to go through before we continue? Yeah, go ahead, Eric. Oh, I skip you. See, it's tradition. I skipped everyone like once a week for the past 5 weeks. It's worked out well. So you're next, Eric. Go ahead.
I don't like it.
No, it doesn't happen to you often.
No. Yeah, no. I mean, I don't like this option.
Yeah, okay, that too.
There's a long gap between the motion picture and Wrath of Khan, which, you know, that would work. But yeah, I don't like this. No.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all I want to say.
Fair.
No.
Yeah.
So, ew.
Fair. Like it. Any pros and cons to any of these that you want to touch on, or should we keep going?
The cons are we've already seen the Monster Maroons and they were perfect.
They were perfect. It's true. This is a question I think not that many of us, I think, as hosts care about, but definitely what do you call the internet wrestling community of Star Trek? I guess the Star Trek internet community. It doesn't have a fun acronym though. A lot of Trekkies care about canon. Would a continuation risk stepping on the established canon? Like, we already get so much flack for stuff that Akiva maybe jumps over or, you know, changes a little bit. Or could it thrive, kind of what MC was saying, in those gray areas where they do episodes in between stuff that already happened? MC, go ahead.
So, proper fandom term for this type of person is canon thumpers.
Canon thumpers, I like it. Okay.
That's exactly what it is. My opinion on this has always been, if it's good, I don't care. I love that Spock and Michael are siblings because I like how they did that. There are other things that happen in Strange New Worlds that I won't mention that I don't like. And so I kind of, you know, it's like, well, that's kind of not how it was in TOS. So my whole thing is, if things are done well, then it doesn't matter if you're kind of, you know, playing fast and loose with the canon. This isn't a documentary. This is a television show. These are all television shows. And there is tons of contradictory stuff in the original series alone. Like, remember when they were calling Spock a Vulcanian?
Yes.
That happened. So this series has never actually been all that great with continuity. And if we are going to be exploring potentially like having a couple of seasons set before Mantrap, but then all of a sudden in the 3rd season, it's set after Space Seed or whatever, that's something that's okay with me, because that would be cool stuff to explore, like the fallout from other episodes, or maybe having the crew make second contact with different planets that they visit in the original series, because that's not something that they did in the original series. Actually have any follow through with any episodes.
Yep, agreed. Hawk?
I mean, they've stepped a little on Canon on that. Let's face it, you know. But I think there are enough of Star Trek fans in general, but, you know, writing these episodes that, you know, they'll know how to do it, right? To tread lightly on it.
Okay, let's not tread lightly for a second, okay? And I am not one of those people that's going to shit on Akiva. I like Akiva. I've gotten to talk to Akiva. Like, I like Akiva Goldsman.
Yeah.
Is he sometimes a little flawed with his writing?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Does he step on Canon a little bit? Sure. But is he a fucking Trekkie in his heart? 100%. Do we all have most of the same feelings about Picard season 1 and 2? Yes. But so far, I think so far he's done a really good job with Strange New Worlds for the most part. So it is what it is. Go ahead, Hawk. Sorry, I went on a tangent.
That's okay. It was a good tangent. Yeah. Yeah. And like, I've been very vocal about my, my criticisms of Akiva. Yeah. But I mean, the lore is there. They love it. They know how to explore it in certain ways. We're going to see certain characters from TOS pop up this season in Strange New World. Season 3. People are going to debate that. Are they stepping on Canon? Are they doing this? I think they know what they're doing.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Eric?
I mean, MC's right. Like, if they do it well, who cares, right?
Yeah.
Are they going to introduce the Borg? I would hate that.
Oh my God, I'd fucking stop watching Star Trek for the rest of my life.
If it's not like something major like that, or they kill a character before their time is due, like, who cares, right? It's going to, if it's good writing, I can forgive things. I probably won't even remember what they broke. Like, to be honest, I'm not that totally set on canon. Things change.
Yeah.
They are 1,000% going to kill a character, but have them come back by the end of the episode. 1,000%.
I mean,
it wouldn't be Star Trek without it, right?
maybe there's magic blood that helps them. Who knows?
Right. Tribbles.
Oh God.
I do want to respond to Felix in the chat, who said that they could do an episode version of the Tarantino pitch. TOS already did that. It's called A Piece of the Action.
Go watch it.
Pitch.
He wants to do a sequel to a piece of the action.
He doesn't want to do a sequel. He wants to do a remake.
Oh yeah, basically.
Okay.
That would be terrible.
With swearing, I assume.
The less said about that, the better. Though I did say if it was done well, I'd watch it, but it'd have to be like perfect.
I'll watch anything Star Trek if it's well done.
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird that's come up in that, because I have heard him talk about if he had directed Star Trek and that, and he'd always pointed that his favorite episode was yesterday's Enterprise.
Yes, that's true too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get into this kind of like an episode that we like to do yearly with Strange New Worlds. We're going to do a very microscopic version of it for this wants and don't wants for a potential 5-year mission TOS series. Let's go through some wants. I did some kind of pre-made ones that we'll go through, some ones that you guys may not have seen on this list. I think a big want right off the bat, if they're going to do this, the episodes have to be high concept, philosophical stories in the vein of late TOS. Do those. I think that you could do the fun stuff and you could do some lighthearted, less Planet of the Week. But one thing I think everybody agrees on, maybe except for me actually, that Strange New Worlds has lacked on a little bit has been these kind of stories. Mm-hmm. MC?
Oh, very much so. That I would like to see these kinds of episodes. I mean, my favorite episodes are lots of talkie. I love Journey to Babel. I do love, what is it? Let That Be Your Last Battlefield. So these are the kind of episodes that I don't think that we've really gotten so much in Strange New Worlds, but would love to get in the 5-year mission, but actually having it be kind of more Strange New Worlds in tone. So Hawk, what about you?
Same. I would love to see kind of high concept philosophical stories. Those might be a little harder, because it's a lot of television tackles those concepts now. Star Trek, obviously, in its day, and that had this big, broad, playground of storytelling and that. And I'm glad you mentioned Let This Be Your Last Battlefield and that, because that was such a great episode of television. And probably a little, how shall I say, risque for the 60s, definitely. But mining that today will be a little harder. Everything, I don't know. Yeah, I'd say, it's definitely something I'd like to see. I just don't know how they go about it, and also be able to pay kind of tribute to the original TOS and what they were able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric?
I mean, I've said it many times. I love it when Star Trek just talks. Like, they're at their best when they do the best, like when they have people debating each other, like Measure of a Man, or like episodes like that. Like give me fucking courtroom scenes all the time, or ready rooms. Like that I love it so much. And I would love to see stuff like that for 5-year mission, which I'm just gonna call it that forever. Like all of us are just gonna call it that.
Yeah. Meme that thing.
Yeah. So yeah, high concept. I would love that.
Yeah.
Do I want to see Paul Wesley do that? Yes, 100%. Like I've not seen him on. Was he on Teen Wolf? That was his show.
Vampire Diaries.
Vampire Diaries.
One of those shows. But he from what I've seen on Strange New Worlds, he has the acting chops, and I just want to see it.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. I mentioned this at the top when I was saying, they could continue on with, you can be flexible with the tone, but like doing that with how Strange New Worlds is already doing that tonal flexibility. They could do serious episodes and fun episodes. Do you think they need to stick with one style, or do kind of basically what they're doing with Strange New Worlds already, MC?
Absolutely do what they're doing with Strange New Worlds already and do both, because I think that if we take one of them out, then you basically lose what Strange New Worlds is. And that's the whole reason why people are excited about the idea of the 5-year mission. It's because we want more Strange New Worlds. We just want, kind of this new format of it with, a slightly different cast. So yeah, like you can't take out the serious episodes, obviously, because it's people doing a dangerous job. But if it's serious all the time, then people are going to get bored.
Yep. Agreed. Hawk?
Same. That range of tone that Strange New Worlds has managed to adopt is fantastic. Remember rewatching Ad Astra the other night, and that scene with Spock not talking with the other Vulcan still gets me. Stands up, pulls it. I'm sorry you had to see that.
Yes, that's so good.
It definitely needs to keep that open. It can be serious, it can be fun, and that was one of the appeals of TOS in the first place.
Yeah. Eric?
Yep. I find Strange New Worlds tone perfect. Right? It has some serious, has some goofy. And with a shortened episode count, we lose a lot of that now in other streaming shows. And if you look at TNG and their 25 episodes, right, there were a lot of serious, there were a lot of goofy, but some of the goofy ones were those middle bottle episodes that didn't matter for other things. And if we just do one whole serious thing, one full 10, give me 12 or 14, not 10 episodes, we're gonna lose a lot of that charm. So yeah.
This is a big one because we already talked about this with Strange New Worlds. Exploration of characters we've barely touched. People that didn't get love in TOS, Sulu didn't get a lot of love. Chekov didn't get a lot of love. Uhura did not get a lot of love. We saw a lot of Spock. We saw a lot of Bones, Jim, even Scotty to a point. How important would it be for 5-year mission TOS continuation to do that, MC?
Absolutely. I don't even think
I
that
know.
this is a question.
Right.
Yeah, it's TOS. I love TOS. I am such a huge fan of TOS, but it's basically are you a white man without an accent? You are going, well, I guess Scotty has an accent, but you're not Russian. Then we're going to make you the center point of the show, because those 4 characters really were it. And I mean, I'm trying to think, was there a single episode that focused on Uhura at all? And I'm not counting Changeling, because Changeling did not focus on Uhura. Something terrible happened
I really
to her.
don't think that there was. No.
Sulu, these are characters that were in episodes and might have had fairly prominent roles, but they didn't actually get any character development. I mean, 2 of them didn't even get names until much later on. I mean, Uhura in the Prime universe didn't get her first name until the first episode of Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Very true.
Definitely want to focus on them, want to focus on some of the other characters that either from Strange New Worlds that might carry over, because it could just be, hey, they started to take the night shift or whatever, or also characters that could come in from TOS, like say Rand, who got, left very early on for horrible reasons, because I know that they say that it's because they couldn't figure out what to do with Rand's character, but we know now that that was not the truth, and it was just that the actress was absolutely horrifically treated on the show. So yeah, let's get into these characters rather than ones that we have articles about on our blog about how they are overused.
Spock. Spock, go ahead.
Exploit as a character, yes, they have to in that. This was one of the biggest weaknesses of the original series, was that, everything was, even if it was an episode focused around one of the other crew members in that, they were still like probably the least prominent character in it. And that it's, at some point, Spock, Kirk, or Bones, it ended up taking over Wolf in the Fold, with Scotty and that. Scotty was accused of murder, blah, 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 and that. But like, really, it wasn't even Scotty's episode by the end of it.
Yeah.
It took TNG to break this, to break this and start exploring like other crew members from an actual POV. Like,
Well, right. And 7 seasons, 26 episodes a season helps a lot too. So
that's true. But
yeah, I have so many, we've had so many arguments though about why that's a blessing and a curse though. So, but yeah, great
That's why
point.
we need the sweet spot of 14.
14 or 15. Yeah. Eric, go ahead.
Yes, definitely they need to explore these characters, just like Strange New Worlds needs to explore their characters more. Like,
yes,
so far we're just dealing with some of the main bridge crew and whoever's fucking Spock at the time, right? So like,
I want to know what the hell is going on.
I'm not wrong.
Not wrong. No, not at all.
So like, I want them to do that, but I want them to do it on Strange New Worlds first. I want to learn more about Ortega's. We've got a little bit of backstory on Mabenga, and but there are a bunch of people that we need to know. But yes, 100%, we need to learn more about the TOS characters, especially like we know a bunch of them become captains afterwards. But why? We only see a little bit of it, right?
Yeah. I would answer, but then I would just repeat everybody's. Of course, you need to explore these characters. Duh. Listen, one thing that I think we all grew a little bit tired of, there was some fatigue with Discovery, was that up until season 4, actually, no, season 4 is all basically up until season 5. And even season 5 to a point, it was just galaxy ending threat after galaxy ending threat after galaxy ending threat after galaxy ending threat. Like, too many. We need more Alien of the Week storytelling, which we're not really even getting in Strange New Worlds currently. MC, do we need that?
Yes, let's get our Strange New Worlds in the 5-year mission instead of Strange New Worlds. That's all I really need to say. Like, the galaxy ending threats are, like you said, it gets tiresome. Like, we don't need that every season. And even in Strange New Worlds, like with the whole, Gorn and everything, it's like, I'm tired of that. And I think like the smaller Alien of the Week episodes are a good way for you to explore the smaller characters instead of being like the big captain has to be in charge of everything. Like, instead do an episode where, like Uhura has to go down to a planet because the universal translator doesn't work there. So she has to do everything by herself.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Same. Alien of the Week, but more exploration of like, what it is they're actually out there to do. It's scientific stuff, exploration, culture, meeting new alien races. Yes, fewer of the galaxy ending threats and that. Those work fine in like this kind of universe when it's, the season finales. That's great, because honestly, Hegemony Part 1 and 2, great. But yes, if they're going to do this, And this is also a problem because they have so few episodes to do it in, but it still needs to be Alien of the Week, you know? And this is where I'm kind of worried about the series, you know? They're, you know, with the TOS crew and that, it might be a little tempting for the writers to want to explore like what a serialized arc with the original, you know, the original crew of the Enterprise might look like. I'm really hoping they avoid that. And I'm hoping it gets, give it 12, give it 14 episodes, like you said.
Yeah.
You know? More room to breathe and do this kind of storytelling.
Yeah, for sure.
Bring on SpongeBob, right? Like these are great ideas.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. If they should just do a SpongeBob episode, like why not?
They seem to really want to. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the galaxy ending stuff. Even like, I hope they don't do that for all of Strange New Worlds, right? Like,
Well, yeah.
it gets tiresome. Like, but I would love to. How would you end a season? Like every time something goes on a streamer, they always seem to want to top the season before, right? Like it just seems bigger and bigger and bigger. And like we saw that on Disco, like things just got so huge by the end.
I will say though that Strange New World season 1 and 2 have done a good job with their finales, even though that like a Gorn invasion could be really bad for the Federation. It's still not like the fate of the galaxy is at stake, right? And Quality and Mercy just showed that the Romulans and the Federation were in like a never-ending war, but it wasn't like it was going bad for them, but it wasn't the end of like the universe, right? Like they were smart stories.
Yeah, they were smart stories, but I feel like they needed to top how good the first season ending was, and that's why they did what they did in season 2.
I would like to point something out. The Best of Both Worlds was not built up. Like they had their first Borg episode, the introduction episode in season 2, and then the end of season 3, they did Best of Both Worlds, and the beginning of season 4, they did Best of Both Worlds Part 2. So you could do like a, you know, powerhouse season finale and season beginning, and having it confined to those 2 episodes.
Sure. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I really like that. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Yummy on Pod Road. For me, I would love to, if they stripped back on the action scene, spend those 10 minutes each episode on the character rather than another fist being thrown. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
But don't take away my ship shots.
No, please don't. I was just talking about how
The boys need their ship porn.
I need my ship porn, man. I really do. We need to revisit some obscure like TOS threads as well, right? Like I think it would be fun to revisit some TOS stuff, especially if they do it post Turnabout Intruder. MC, you're maybe on this?
No, I actually kind of like this idea. Like there's a bunch of stuff that you could explore. Like I believe like in, was it Who Mourns for Adonais?
Yes.
Apollo impregnates that crew member, and it would be really nice to find out what happens with this half deity.
Didn't they sort of touch upon that on Lower Decks too?
Yes, they do actually have a character who's kind of not that character, but in that family almost.
Yeah.
Also, like maybe we could have Uhura like relearning things. Sorry, I'm never letting that go. Ever.
Be interesting. I mean, the nice thing about that is they always had a great way of kind of closing out those stories, and that with, you know, back in the day, that it almost felt like you never really had to. In that, you know, it's like, are they going to do a second contact with with like, you know, the Archons and Landru's planet? I don't know. Revisiting obscure threads. I think if I don't know, part of me it would be interested in seeing something like that, but then again, like I said, they seem to always have a way of closing them out. You know, like, you know, we kind of instinctively know what happens at the end of, like, you know, let this be your last battlefield, and they just kind of move on. You know, same with that one. What's that one with Lazarus? I can't remember. Yeah, you know that one?
Yeah. MC, help.
Is it Requiem for Methuselah?
Lazarus was that one. The Alternative Factor?
Oh yeah, I just watched this episode. The scientist, right?
Yeah.
That episode's wild.
I know.
I do have a counterpoint, though, to the ending of Let That Be Your Last Battlefield. And I'm going to have to bring up Section 31.
Okay.
We saw one of that species in Section 31. So, I mean, considering how the TOS episode ended, you could always do an episode that actually explained why there are apparently more of them.
I don't know what
I
this
think
Section 31 thing is that you're talking about. but-
There's a character who
No,
is...
he's being
I'm
sarcastic.
being so facetious right now.
You're being funny.
There was a
Okay,
Section 31
sorry.
movie. What? I get the impression that it's like with that species and that there was probably like some of them that were on the run and like probably on the run throughout the galaxy. So the fact that one turned up in Section 31,
Yeah.
That could turn up in the 5-year mission.
Exactly.
Yep. Eric?
This is interesting. Because I love good Easter eggs, but I don't like it when they're so blatant. Like, in Rogue One when they have
3PO and R2 and the guys on Jeddah, right?
Like, and they're just like, you're like, fuck, that was a bad
Watch me
camera.
go. Yeah.
But if it's like MC always says, like if it's done well, like that, I don't mind that. Like I don't know. I don't want them. I sort of don't want them to revisit old threads. But if they're obscure ones, like the deity thing, like I think that would be neat.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm torn on this. Like there's some times when people are just like, well, let's do this because we can, and they shouldn't.
They should do a TOS Gorn episode with a rubber chicken suit Gorn and a Akiva Gorn and be like, but why?
It's sort of like when Enterprise did these Klingons have ridges and these don't.
others, right. Yeah. Any other wants from you guys? Anybody can go that I missed, or do you want to keep going?
I think we got a lot of other stuff to talk about.
We do. I would agree with that. Yeah, go ahead.
I wouldn't mind seeing other parts of the federal, like other, like MC said, like about Section 31. Like I know that they aren't, supposed to be super in this, but I wouldn't mind seeing them once in a blue moon. I would love to see more time cops and stuff. Like obviously,
Time cops would be great. Yeah.
We did find out in Trials and Tribulations that Kirk's file is the biggest on record.
Yep. So a lot more time travel for sure, which I will say is a great segue into some do not wants and retreading plots, because as much as we love a good time travel romp, there is so much time travel in Star Trek. Also, we can avoid the mirror universe for a little bit, please. Is this smart? Just kind of maybe try something fresh for once, MC?
Oh, absolutely. I don't want them to go back to the mirror universe. And there are some things that it feels like Star Trek focuses on. Like there are like episodes that kind of just go under the radar that they don't really get into. Like somebody in the chat, and I forget who mentioned, it's like, hey, why don't they go check in on Zephyr Cochrane in that episode? And it's like, that might actually be an interesting thing for them to follow up on. But things like the mirror universe, the tribbles, all of like the really classic ones, Khan, do not go anywhere fucking near Khan in this. No matter where in the timeline it is, if they do something with Khan,
they can't, because then you ruin Wrath of Khan if they even try to touch that.
Oh yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. Hawk?
Retreading, no mirror universe, no Khan, definitely. What are the prominent storylines I can think of?
Spock.
Definitely Spock. I mean, but yeah,
Spock in Stranger Worlds and TOS, just like constantly focused on.
Yeah, I know. Retreading plots. I don't know. I feel like that, it's not something they would at this point. If they did it like post, what's her name? What's up?
Turnabout Intruder.
Turnabout Intruder. If they do it post Turnabout Intruder, there's really no reason to go back. It leaves it open to a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I would agree. I would totally agree.
Definitely, I want to see some Klingons though.
Always got to see some Klingons.
Yeah.
You can't have Kirk without Klingons. 100%. Maybe more. I mean, we know why Kirk hates Klingons in the movies, especially, but more why Kirk has kind of always hated Klingons. Like the racism there would be a great exploration for sure.
Be like it has to do with the war. Maybe do it like if they want to do a Kirk episode, which they obviously will do, and that find out what was going on with him during the Klingon War.
100%. I like that. Yep. Eric.
Yep, no mirror universe, no full-on Section 31 episode, even though I did mention Section 31. I don't want a full episode about it, or an arc even. No mirror, did I say no mirror universe? That's how much I don't want mirror universe.
It's worth it being said all the time.
Also, I love time travel, but I don't want to see a Nazi Earth again, not forever.
No.
Especially right now, please.
No.
Yeah, we're already seeing a Nazi Earth.
Yeah.
I'd also... as much as I love Tribbles, I don't want to see another Tribble episode. I think
we don't need one.
I think the short trek was the perfect last episode of Tribbles.
Oh, so good.
And
A Moopsy episode.
Yeah. Oh my God, that'd be great.
but then yeah.
Yep. Let's talk about over explaining things. Oh no, sorry, I skipped one here. Characters becoming caricatures of the original actors. So far, I think we've been good. We haven't seen that, but it could happen. MC, what do you think?
I think that out of all of the characters that have not been introduced, I think that the ones that we do have are fine. They're not going to change the way they act, their characters, no matter where they end up. But I think McCoy and Chekov are probably the ones that are the most...
In danger.
I don't want to say likely, but in danger. Yes, that's the perfect way to put it. I think that they've done a very good job, like Martin Quinn's Scotty accent compared to the original series. I mean, it's just night and day. So I hope that they would continue that when casting those characters.
I know, and this isn't going to spoiler territory. I will say I've had people who work on the show and people in this crew who have said that Martin Quinn is so Scottish that it's a little bit hard to understand him in season 3 so far. So, maybe they ask him, can you tone down your natural accent?
Yeah.
Please? No, I love his accent. I love it. I love it.
No nuclear vessels.
Oh God. Right.
Characters becoming caricatures. I think they've really kind of definitely stepped that landmine already. As far as like Paul Wesley, that was the one like that could have potentially fallen into like caricaturish, but no, he found his voice for it. He found the style he wanted to do, and that was reminiscent of our Kirk and that without being like a full on just Shatner impersonation. Same with Peck. Ethan Peck has done a great job with Spock. He has that natural, gifted voice that makes him suitable for the character. But at the same time, I think we've seen a lot of tones and shades of, the character that we didn't get with McCoy. Mostly because they've written this character a little differently in that Spock that is more in touch with motions right now. Trying not to be, but obviously by the time it gets to where Nimoy was, we're looking at a different Spock. So in that way, I think they have already sidestepped that particular landmine. We'll see what happens. They've done a great job so far, so I'm going to say I trust them to find those last missing pieces, that fit it, but also give an original actor a chance to take on a role and make it their own.
Yeah. I mean, the characters I was most worried about was, Spock and Kirk, because those were the two that you could fully become character. Scotty, everyone does a bad Scottish accent, so get a good Scottish actor to do it. Like they chose perfectly, and I assume like how they did for the Kelvinverse, they got a really good actor for Chekov. Anton Yelchin was Russian, right?
He was Russian, but he didn't have a natural accent. But I think
speak it.
He could speak it. Yeah, exactly.
So what he did is he honored like actual Russian, but also added a little tinge. Like he would say things like nuclear vessels, right?
Right.
But that was just for the fans. Like it didn't make him sound weird. That's what I loved about it. And as long as they keep the essence of the characters. Like Bones really became TOS Bones for me in the third Kelvinverse movie, right? Like he
100%.
like, but before that he was like the bones of Bones, right? Like it. I have no doubt that they're going to cast, like, everyone that we've seen so far has been perfect for their roles. Like, and the stuff that we've seen even now that we can't talk about, like, I think everyone they've cast has been perfect.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Speaking of Bones, I think one thing that they definitely need to not do is, you know, over explain things that don't need it, right? Like when Bones does eventually, there's a bad typo in this. Whoever wrote wait, thanks for catching that. You know, like how Bones got the nickname Bones, like how McCoy got that nickname. Like we don't need to know, just like, you know, keep it Bones and keep it.
Are you shading the Kelvin movies?
That was so subtle and good though. Like it was, I don't know. Is that really an explanation? It is, but it worked. I don't need that in this, right?
It's not like Solo where they explain how Han got his last name.
Exactly. I love that movie, but damn that part. Yeah. MC, over explaining always a bad thing.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Because I mean, I do immediately go to things like Solo, which where it's like, why would you do that? Nobody was asking that.
No last name? Solo.
God.
Like Jon Snow.
And that is something that in inelegant hands, they might be tempted to do.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I mean, like there's been a couple of times that they almost stepped in that with Strange New Worlds, but they've managed to, I think, mostly avoid it. So I'd say just keep that up.
Yeah. Hawk?
Sorry, where were we? I was like,
Over explaining things that don't need to be over explained in Star Trek.
oh yeah, stop doing that. Everybody's already an expert. It's like you're dealing with Star Trek fans here, and that they're already experts on the series, and that they know minutia about like technology and ships and characters and spin-offs and that. So don't over explain to them. Just go forward.
Yeah. Agreed. Eric?
Agreed.
Yeah. Let's keep going. Canon breaking cameos. That's a big no-no though, I would say. Absolutely.
Sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't even know what canon breaking cameos there could be, but it's like I know exactly what you're trying to say, and
Right.
I don't want it.
There could be them. Like you know, I was talking about David earlier, like Jim meeting David and being there, being able to like have a memory of him, I think would like not be great.
No.
Yeah. Or
know,
as we
things
were
like
saying
that.
before, Khan, if they were to bring Khan in, I would
right.
rage quit.
Yeah. Yeah. Hawk?
Well, this is one of the issues for me is like their introduction of Cybok in season 2, because that's going to be a tough one, especially, you know, like if they're going in with the TOS like crew going forward or for the 5-year mission, you know, can't have any Cybok. You know, that's
The only person on that ship who knows about Cybok is Spock and Chapel of all people. Chapel knew about Cybok before Jim knew about Cybok.
I mean, it's crazy in that, you know, like Spock, like, you know, and his secrets and that. Like, you remember, like, you know, like Kirk did not even know who his dad was.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Eric?
Yeah, that just no. Just no. But
No.
it would be cool. No, never mind. That wouldn't be cool. Never mind. I was thinking about like Deep Space Nine when they went back in time, right? And did the Trouble with Tribbles episode. It would be sort of neat to see one of those people like just in the background, right?
Oh my God. Right. Like have like Call Meany in the background or something.
Yeah, like he's like, fuck, why am I here?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that'd be funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody has actually created a fan edit, which is the Trouble with Tribbles and Trials and Tribulations edited together into just one movie. You should try to find that, because I think that's what you're looking for.
Yes, that is what I'm looking for.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Any other don't wants that this list may have missed or that I missed?
I don't want Spock to be a whiny emo bitch anymore.
Can you stop fucking everyone?
Yeah, dude. Stick like, come on, man. Like,
Oh god.
just you're married. We got to see the wedding. That's something that's got to happen. We got to see that might happen in Strange New Worlds. We got to see Spock and T'Pring get married.
No, because Spock and T'Pring were supposed to get married in a mock time, but she was just like, no.
Wait, no, I thought that they were already married and they
were betrothed.
Oh, I thought that they were already married. I've gone all these years thinking that they were married in Amok time and that was the break of the marriage.
No.
Doesn't it specifically say my wife? No? I'm going to have to go back and watch Amok time. Oh, I believe you.
I mean, it's a really good episode, so you should watch it.
I know. I've seen it like a jillion times. Wow. Okay. Well, my mind has been blown. Okay. So there's
the whole ceremony, that's supposed to be their wedding ceremony.
I thought
actually McCoy like brings it up. So he's like, oh, so we'd be like your best man.
Yeah, that's true. Man. Okay. Well, I'm fucked. Any other don't wants? No. We've touched upon this already. Let's talk about characters, casting the people that we don't see yet. Let's talk about the ones that we already have met. Spock, Kirk, Uhura, Chapel, and Benga. Who did I miss? Scotty now. Anyone else? I think that's it who we've met so far. Thumbs up. Thank you, Zoom. Yep. Yeah. So characters that we haven't yet met. Okay. Sulu is at the top of this list. We already have an amazing pilot in Erica Ortegas. Do we want to see Sulu in Strange New Worlds, or we need to have him just in TOS? And what kind of energy should that new Sulu bring, MC?
What kind of energy? I really like both what George Takei and
John Cho.
John Cho, thank you. I like what they both brought to the role, and I would like to see that kind of continued. I would like to see a queer Sulu, because I feel like they made him queer in the Kelvinverse, and in the Prime comics he is as well, and Strange New Worlds has been terrible with queer representation, so just give it to me with Sulu. Give me somebody. So I just want that kind of swashbuckling, exciting guy that we got from TOS. I want just more of that.
Just level up the queer.
Level up the queer, and also just level up the character. Give me more of the character, because there was a depth missing, I want to say, from the TOS version, and even from the Kelvinverse version. We just want more of these characters that were neglected in favor of the power trio.
Yeah. Yep. Hawk.
Yeah, Sulu definitely will be, probably not difficult. I don't want to say that, but they definitely have to, if nothing else, than just out of deference and respect for George Takei, to recast Sulu, and make him an openly gay character in that. As far as casting choices, I don't know. Nobody really comes to mind right now.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah. So other than that, Chekov, yeah, they've got to go young for that one.
Yeah, we'll get to Chekov in a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Eric,
I'm trying to think. Is Sulu's younger than Kirk? Yes.
Yes, but I think not by a lot.
Not by a lot, right? I'm trying to think of who would be a good young actor that's up and coming. That would be good. That I would love a Japanese person to actually play.
I was going to say I would love a Japanese actor.
So I don't know. There's so many good people that we see on like Netflix like shows that are Japanese actors that be like, okay, these people could play Sulu. I want someone who's trained in martial arts. We got so very little martial arts from him in TOS. And
oh my God.
In the Comic-Verse, he took fencing as one of his things in Starfleet. Like that, so funny. That I want him to have more urgency in the cast. Like I want to see him more. Look,
yeah,
I want to know why he would eventually replace Ortegas, right? Like there has to be something either exceptional or maybe Ortegas gets promoted or something. There has to be a reason why this young cocky, I want him to sort of be like Han Solo and Solo.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I like that.
Which is almost like Erica to a point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Erica Ortega is Han Solo in the movie, like in the later
Right.
movies.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like the younger, like,
Really cocky, brash.
yeah, a little bit brash.
Yeah.
Although he's always been like a cooler head, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to say that in terms of casting, if we are putting a wish list together of things and we're deciding that Sulu is going to be queer, I wouldn't mind having a queer actor as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah, 100%. I just have to put out there that I looked up on Google real quick, up and coming Asian actors, and they put fucking Daniel Day Kim on the list.
He's up and coming still.
And I'm like, dude, really?
He's come already.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy.
He's come and gone.
There's a couple like Japanese people on the Avatar live action that I think
Could do it.
could do it. Although a lot of
Yeah.
them are Filipino too, which I find very strange.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe
Let's-
they go through the cast of Shogun for a young actor from there. What
That's great, yeah.
yeah. Tornado
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Google is crap. Thank you. That wasn't even like the AI answers either. It's just, oh my God. Let's talk about someone who's come up a lot tonight on the show, and that is Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy. I've already said no to this, but should he debut in Strange New Worlds before Kirk becomes Captain MC?
As I said, I would not be upset if he came in the second to last episode of Strange New Worlds. Like, we just, I don't know, have an adventure with him on whatever ship he's on at the time. And then he can come in at the very end, last scene, where we're kind of establishing, oh, this is what, well, Pike is giving over the reins of the Enterprise to Kirk, that we see, oh, this is our new crew that we're going to be following on the new show. So that's what I think. And as for casting, I did not come in with any casting for anybody. So
I didn't either, so don't worry about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just know that as it was mentioned in the chat, it's going to be very hard following up Carl Urban. I mean, maybe we should just cast Carl Urban.
I was going to say that. I was going to say I can't think of anybody besides Carl Urban who could play that role right now. Yeah. Hog.
Wouldn't that make him an anchor being then?
Yeah, it would. It sure would.
Yeah, no, he absolutely should, and that seems to be the trend that Strange New Worlds is following. In that, it's like it's like these people do come into the lives of the current crew of the Enterprise, and it's almost like I think naturally so, being that, because at that point, it was a lot of them were up and comers, but also like there were people who were kind of they established themselves through their talents, right? Scotty definitely established himself for his talents in that when his debut. Spock was already an up and comer. Like Uhura is bigger transition from cadet to ensign, and we can see her talents emerging throughout the show. How do you bring McCoy into this without some sort of episode that focuses on possibly some dire medical threat that only he is capable?
Right.
Yeah, he has to be involved in that.
This is why I think it's so tricky to, like, more than any other character, I think it's like the most tricky to try and introduce him. Yeah. Yeah.
Felix has mentioned in the chat had to please give as much spotlight to Mbenga as possible before he weirdly steps aside.
Yeah.
That could be the episode. You do an episode to establish why Mbenga decides to not be the
CMO.
chief medical officer. I mean, obviously, like, I think, and I guess we'll probably talk about him, I don't think that they should get rid of Mbenga, because I actually think, like, well, we know that he was on the Enterprise, and they should be able to keep both of them on the show. Is stupid that they only had one doctor on all of the Star Trek shows. No hospital has one doctor.
Yep. Agreed. Yep.
Yeah, watch that.
Yeah, there you go. Eric, I think we were up to you.
Oh, Bones, man. I don't want him to join the cast of Strange New Worlds. No. I want him to be maybe sort of introduced, like I said earlier, but I always like the idea that Kirk and Bones were friends in Starfleet. Like, I like that idea. And maybe there is something that's dire that he's like, I have a friend that can help with this. maybe, I guess, but then we're gonna make a spotlight like Kirk episode again in Strange New Worlds. I don't know. It's super tricky. And if we can't get Carl and I guess I say Carl Urban and Balloons comes out. If we can't get Carl Urban again, let's stick with the boys cast. Get Anthony Starr. He would make a great Bones.
Oh, let me look him up.
Ooh.
Right.
While we look that up, I just want to say I looked up who could play Bones in Star Trek real quick, and there's a whole Reddit thread about like a continuation like we're talking about tonight, and nobody could not say Carl Urban. So we're all on the same page there.
So Anthony Starr is 7 years older than Paul Wesley. He was born in 1975. Paul Wesley's 82. I feel like that's still a good age range where they're close together.
I think that's pretty close to where, like, DeForest Kelly and, Shatner were too.
Anthony Starr is
Homelander.
the Homelander.
Yeah.
That could work. Okay, Eric, coming through. I like it. Nice. Where are the balloons for you? Come on. Wait, can I do it?
Yeah.
No.
It's fine. I don't care.
Let's talk about Chekov briefly. This first question is kind of fucked, but like, how do you introduce Chekov onto the ship? Because dude's young. I feel like this is where if you were going to, you'd have to have the show post Turnabout Intruder, MC. And casting, because that's
like I said before. Let's make Chekov the Wesley Crusher of TOS. And I seriously, I loved Anton Yelchin, and I loved making him like this young a prodigy. And I don't mind seeing that in this show as well. And well, I mean, I guess it's harder to have him in this show if we do it pre. Mantrap, because we don't see him until season 2, even though it is established, I believe, in Wrath of Khan that he was on the ship because he had met Khan before.
Yep.
So he was around. He was night shift. Like that is one thing.
His lower decks, Delta shifts, yeah.
But considering all of the people that we're dealing with, because like Chapel was not part of the main cast in the original series. She was just a very frequently recurring character. And Benga was not part of, like, how many people from Strange New Worlds are actually going to cross over to be part of the main cast of 5-Year Mission? So if we're bringing all those people over, maybe there's not enough room for Chekov right away. Maybe we need to wait for him to come in.
Yeah, agreed. Hawk?
Yeah, like it all depends on where they set this show. If it's pre-Mantrap and that, he comes in probably as some sort of a cadet. The way Uhura did, like when she was introduced in SNW. Post Turnabout Intruder, he'll have to be very established in that. It's just like they'll drop in a very established character. So this one, it's very tricky. Yeah. And like casting choice, no idea.
I know that's rough. You got to get someone young, like super young. Yeah.
Young and Russian.
Young and Russian. Eric?
This is super tricky because if it's before, he'd have to be like 12, right?
Yeah.
That's a young kid. That means that kid's probably like 9 now.
And why are his parents going to let him go off to a job where it's going to get him killed?
So
right?
maybe he is Delta Shift, right? And maybe his mom is the doctor. So make him the Wesley of this show. That would be hilarious. Yeah, I don't know, because he's always been this whiz kid, right? Like that's how they had him in Kelvinverse, and that's how he sort of was in TOS. Yeah. How do you introduce a teenager without it seeming hokey?
Yeah, because I think it could get there really quick. Yeah. Let's talk about someone we talked about at the top of the show, and that is Yeoman Janice Rand. I think it needs to be said, they need to give that character, in honor of help me, I'm forgetting her name, and I just did a birthday post. No, Rand's actors.
Hold on.
I know it at the top of my head.
Grace Lee Whitney.
They got to give her an opportunity to have a fully fleshed out role, like, because even though she leaves the show, like, she's such a a presence on that bridge, right? Like, how important is it to have Rand on the Enterprise, MC?
1000%. It is so important. It has angered me for years how that character was treated, because the things that they do to the character on the show are bonkers, and the things that happened to the actress off the cameras were horrific. I need justice for the actress, justice for the character, and even though she disappears in TOS, she could still be on the ship. Like, we do find out in, I guess it's
Star Trek
6.
Yeah, she's on the Excelsior.
Ends up on the Excelsior. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's still in Starfleet, and I believe she also has a cameo in possibly the motion picture.
No, in Star Trek 3.
Search for
3,
Spock, because Leonard Nimoy snuck her in there.
Yeah.
So she's around, and it's possible. I know I keep on bringing up other shifts, but we know they have other shifts, so she could have just switched shifts, and that is one of the things with. And also, depending on where it's set, like if it's set after the animated series, then it would be really easy to have her be like, yeah, I left for a while and now I'm back. So I would love to see her, would love to kind of figure out what her relationship with Kirk is, because, well, I don't really want to deal with a whole lot of relationship stuff. That's another thing that I could throw into my don't wants, but I guess I kind of said that with I don't want any more emo, whiny Spock. But there was always this thing between them, which was kind of unsaid, this tension. And it would be nice to maybe just break that tension. Even if it's not breaking the tension in we're going to get together. Maybe if it's just do you know what? This is not appropriate for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Hawk?
Yeah, definitely. They need to do the same thing they've done for, they want to do for Chapel, and they give them a fleshed out story, and stop making them just basically an object to be attacked in the film. In the episode, I mean, the enemy within. Charlie X, Charlie made her face go away in that episode. That's horrifying.
I hate that part.
And as far in she is a legacy character. So 8 appearances in TOS, 3 appearances in the film series. And then an appearance on Star Trek Voyager season 3, episode 2. Very much very much a canon character, very much an important aspect of the series, and could use that makeover.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they did such a good job with Una, right? So why couldn't they do that with Rand? It's the thing that I find tricky about this is the yeoman position, because that's such a weird thing to add.
Well, right, and we could talk about that for sure. Right, keep going on that. Yeah.
Yeomans are assistants. Yeah. And do I really want an assistant to Kirk? That seems weird in this time and age. So she'd have to be. I don't know. I don't even know what role she would play.
We could also see her evolving in her role, because by the time she gets onto the Excelsior, I believe she's the comms officer.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
That'd be awesome. Or maybe his personal security. No, I don't like that either. I don't know. Yeah.
But you could see her, maybe trying to find her place. That was kind of my next question, but it's a great point that you brought up, Eric, because she could be a strong counterpoint to Uhura. We could see her messing around maybe at ops or security, definitely moving on, from that yeoman role. And because she does eventually wind up in communications too, maybe learning from Uhura, who will be a lieutenant at this point. There's so much you could do with a character who deserves to have a lot of retribution and just a presence on what would be a new show. And I have someone I found who I think would be really great in the role, and that's Nell Tiger Free, who is in The Last Omen and also played Marcella Baratheon in Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
So I wonder, would it be too much of a retread? Because we saw her switch between positions. She could be an ensign when we first meet her, if it's the pre.
Yeoman Rand?
And then she goes from yeoman to blah, blah, blah.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe that's just why we saw her as a yeoman, is because she was there for a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. We need to definitely have Janice Rand on that show. Let's talk about wildcard characters very quick because we are getting close to 2 hours on this episode. Yeah. Kyle, we've already seen him in Strange New Worlds. He disappeared because I guess he was just not happy on the show, apparently. He was in season 1. We could see him back. We have Leslie, who's a bridge character on TOS. MC already mentioned Arax. Like, yeah, what about other bridge characters, like people that we've kind of seen that we'd like to see again? MC, we've kind of already talked about that.
I want my transporter twink back.
Everybody wants their transporter twink back. Yeah.
I don't know. Other than the main cat, I don't know. Do we want another Riley?
Yeah, someone just mentioned, the Jedi Cat just mentioned Riley.
Descended from Irish kings.
I mean, I don't know if I do want any other characters, because I want them to spend more time with the ones that, we have.
Right. And that kind of leads to that next question. I think we're all on the same page. Maybe don't introduce new characters. Focus on the characters that we want to get to know more about that we didn't in those 3 years that we got of TOS, right? Like, we don't need, this is my example here was Ortegas, who we do need an episode about in Strange New Worlds, but we don't need that new character on the bridge of Kirk's Enterprise.
It's only been 3 seasons.
Yeah, only.
I was gonna just make
go ahead.
Ortegas, because I do think that there is some question as to what's going to happen with Ortegas if Sulu is going to come in. If we're talking about this potential happy ending where Una gets her own ship, I think that Ortegas would entirely be poached.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For Una?
Yeah, maybe for sure. Yeah, she's got a lot of on is in that. Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
A ship of the Valkyries.
A ship of the
God, that'd be amazing.
That'd be amazing. Let's talk about how the show should look, right? Production style, format. Should it look like Strange New Worlds? Should it look like the original series? Should it look like the motion picture? MC, what should this show feel like?
I mean, the whole reason they want to do it is because they already have the sets.
Right, right.
So do it like Strange New Worlds. I mean, like, the thing is, it's like, I know everybody likes the look of TOS. It's classic. It's nostalgic.
I've never understood it.
Okay, fair enough. It's as good as they
being that guy right now.
It's as good as they could do with $5 and a bag of cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
So
don't forget the popsicle sticks and.
Okay. Fair enough. But TOS, it's nostalgic, but we can't go back to that. It's just not feasible for today's television. What they've done on Strange New Worlds, that's the updated version of TOS.
If they had that budget and technology, that's how the show would have looked in the 60s.
Yes, exactly.
Period. End of story. Yeah. Hawk.
Same. It is going to look like SNW, because yes, they have the sets, and also I think kind of it speaks to what we were saying earlier in that about, we want these episodes to be, more wordy, more, thought driven and that. But here's the thing is that TOS and like TNG, they were both like, a lot more, thoughtful and a lot more wordy in that, because that was how we distracted people from the fact that, they were on cardboard sets and with rubber masks and that. There's so much now they can do with like, costuming and design that we could never go back to the way it looked. It would be ridiculous.
I'm just going to say it. The moment that we see in the trailer with Kirk on the bridge in that 1960s style, like, it looks dumb. It just doesn't work. Like, why would anybody want to see that again? Like, I really don't understand. Like, technology upgrades for a reason. Like, I don't understand the appeal.
I assume Julian's spoiling something in the trailer for me.
No, you've seen the episode.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Now he's being that guy, Julian.
Anyway. Eric.
Okay. Yeah, obviously it's gonna be Strange New World look. Like their costumes, the sets, like they have it all. It's all there. They just have to put in new actors and change the screen a little bit to be a little bit more, I guess, futuristic from where we are in Strange New Worlds. Like there's not much of a change. Like this is the top of the line of their.
No, they just have to make Jim's quarters smaller.
Maybe that's what happens near the end of
right.
Strange New Worlds. Right. An attack and
There's a kitchen fire.
Yeah.
The barbecue didn't go well. Yeah.
I'm not even gonna really ask this question because I think everything that we've established in this episode so far is that episodic storytelling 100% stay away from serialized. I think that's a no-brainer with TOS. And I guess you've already established Strange World, so I won't ask again. Should it go full Technicolor or just, cinematic like we've got? I would love.
I will say if they start off the first episode looking like that, like Technicolor and like old, like that'd be I don't know. I would love to see the upgraded set with Technicolor. Like I think it would be really cool. Like I don't like the aesthetic of the sets of TOS, but there's something just really like homey about how 60s television looked. Yeah. Imagine it was this set, but in a 4x3 at the beginning of the first episode with the Technicolor and the scan.
Oh, it's like that would be great.
And then they go into the widescreen.
The wide, that'd be fantastic.
Yes, give it to me.
Yeah. Music. You got to bring back Nami for this.
I was going to say, it's like, I want my friend to still have a job.
Yes, please. If Akiva, the only thing we ask, Nami TOS score. She's already killing it with like motifs that we've heard in TOS and putting spins on motifs that aren't motifs we've heard that make us think that they are motifs that we've heard. Like she's a genius. Bring back Nami for the music. That's all we need to say about that. Right. Let's talk about finally legacy and lore. What's the point of doing TOS now, MC?
Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. I mean, like, I'm sorry to be that girl, but like the whole point is that doing a, remake, reboot, whatever sequel, prequel to TOS it's the most recognizable part of the franchise. Maybe TNG is arguably, but it's iconic. You've got all of the characters and the sets and everything that you can just kind of easily slot things in. It is it's a way around the whole 5 years because, I mean, they could say, we always planned to have Strange New Worlds be 5 years, but I'm not too sure about that. But this is kind of a cheat code to get another 5. So, yeah, that's the point. Money.
Just to go off on that real quick, the more I hear actors and the more I hear producers and directors talk about television, the more, and because MC, I had the same apprehension as you. The more I hear it, though, the more I strongly believe they knew they were getting 5 seasons from the get-go, because that has really become the industry norm. You are lucky to get 5 seasons. So the more I hear, the more I'm like, Paramount was like, you got 5 seasons. Do what you're going to do. Who knows, though?
This is why they call the show 5-year missions, so we know exactly what we get on the tin.
Yes, exactly. Hawk, why? What's the point?
Basically, for a lot of the things we were talking about, not just money and that, but I feel like this, whether this was the plan all along, it seems like the strongest option they can go with, given there's a lot of uncertainty about the future of Star Trek and that, given all the behind the scenes talk about what's going to happen with this merger and Paramount and that. Will the franchise be sold, and this seems like something that they can bring to the table and say, look, this is solid. We can make this a tentpole series again and build off of it.
Yeah.
Not just that, but I think in Star Trek in general, most fans never ever really want to see this window into this version of the show closed, right? With Kirk. It might be, it's hard to let go. Obviously, we go through the same thing with TNG. It was hard for us to let go, but and who knows? It's like in another 20 years and that, are we going to be looking at a TNG reboot?
Oh my God! Right?
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Star Trek is loyal, throughout generations of fans,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I will agree with MC about this. I think TOS is the most recognizable one. That's why we went to the Kelvin verse, right? They wanted to see these characters again. And fans always want to go back to that nostalgia. That's why we got to see Luke and Leia and Han sort of come back in some movies that don't really exist. But like this cast and already like what we've seen so far, like what Akiva's done with Star Trek and Strange New Worlds, like it's already so cinematic and amazing. I could see Paul Wesley and his crew go through this 5-year mission and then maybe even go into the big screen. Like I could see this.
Oh, don't play with my heart, dude.
I'm never getting my Kelvin 4, am I?
No, you're not.
You're not,
No.
unfortunately.
No.
But I could see this crew going that. Like the sets already look movie quality.
They are.
The
They are.
graphics are movie quality. Like I could see this being their stepping stone. They were like, well, we saw that this works and people love the 2S era. Let's do TOS. If that works, move to the films again. Because those original movies made bank.
They did. Yeah.
Kelvinverse made bank too.
Yes.
Actually, we just
Made more money than any of the
Well,
other
that's
Star
true.
Trek movies.
That's true. I work at a brewery that happens to also be a music venue, and I see a lot of tribute bands. I see really, really, really good tribute bands, and I see really, really, really bad tribute bands. How do you do this show and honor the legacy of Shatner and Nimoy and DeForest Kelly and not make it look like a bad tribute band, MC?
By doing everything we've talked about so far.
That's a great answer.
Unnecessary cameos, no. Like focusing on characters that we haven't covered a lot, yes. Like we've covered everything.
We have. Hawk?
Same, like, we've covered a lot of this, but really it comes down to like, the writing staff, like what is the show to them? Like,
That's a great point.
yeah, do they want to continue on with that tradition and that? I love Easter eggs and I love references and that, but I also want to see them like explore for themselves and that what this universe means to them and that, not just like, throw in something for us and like, ooh, tribute, Easter egg, whatever. More original thought and focus into the writing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Eric?
Have the feel of TOS. Like the great thing about the Kelvinverse is that they took those characters, they made it their own, but they still felt like those characters. That's what they need to do with 5-year mission. They need to make those characters their own and like continue that story. Make it something that our kids are gonna look back on like we do with TNG or TOS.
Yeah.
That's what they need. They need to spark that imagination. They need to spark that exploration and that. If you haven't seen Elio by Pixar, that is like such a
We're going to go see it tomorrow, I think.
such a good way to get your kids into science and exploration. And that's what Star Trek did for all of us. Like we look to the stars because of that. That's what Prodigy did for kids 4 years ago that they just unceremoniously killed off. That's what they need to do. Like they need to spark that. And it can't be so dark that kids can't watch it. Like TOS wasn't super dark for me as a kid.
No, and my kids, mainly Cecily, watch Lower Decks and really like Lower Decks. They watched part of season 1 and liked it, but then didn't really watch season 2, but will always sit down and watch Strange New Worlds with me, which I think is really telling.
Yes.
Yeah, you just answered the next question. I think we could all agree. Could this be Star Trek's way of returning to pure exploration? And I think the answer is yes. Like they could, like Hawk
If
just
they wanted
said, if they want to. But what Hawk just said, great writing teams. I think what's really important for this show, and I'm kind of taking over, I'm sorry, but I haven't given a lot of my opinions tonight. I think you need to bring in some of the disco writers room into this, because they told this pure exploration stories really well and character driven stories really well. And Strange New Worlds has missed that mark just the tiniest bit. And I think, but it 5-year mission really could. Go ahead, Eric.
Or bring us in.
They need to bring the Prodigy writers in too. Like they made that joy of exploration so like palpable. Like there are times when that crew went to a planet and you're just like, oh my God, I want to go there. Or I want to meet the Enterpriseians. Like they didn't do, like, as much as I love some of Disco or most of Disco, I feel like Prodigy was the perfect like exploration series.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Yeah. We've gone 2 hours, so I'm going to say we didn't miss anything about this.
We covered everything.
Everything.
We could cover more if we wanted to.
Akiva, Henry, you've got your Bible. Now go take it and make the
there
show.
are 3 Canadians that aren't far away from the set. We could always just go and help them.
There's an email address on our blog, on our website, so you can contact us. And, you know.
Yep. We will happily sell the name, 5-year mission.
Several of us are looking for work.
Yeah. Oh man. Let's get to the mailbag, and this would have been a perfect episode for me to put the horror soundbite back in, but I didn't, so it'll go in post. Let's go back to the top of our list here. MC, can you take Jesco's mailbag, please? Sorry, real quick. Okay. Let me say, we asked what you would want from a continuation of TOS, or maybe not want. MC, go ahead.
Okay. Jesco wrote, for a continuation of the original series, I would be happy with it going between the lines and filling in gaps between major events. Maybe following parts of the crew that were not in the original series, like Ortegas. Yes, I absolutely want more Ortegas. I think there's a lot of storytelling that can be done there, as well as deeper dives, maybe even some second contact cleaning up messes the Enterprise sometimes leaves in its wake.
Nice. There's one more sentence.
Oh, sorry. The only thing I'm not interested in is a retelling of the original series that almost exactly follows the original script.
Yeah, they won't go that way.
Yeah, I don't think so. Huck, you take Dana's, please.
Sure. Dana wrote, I wouldn't be mad about a TOS reboot, but maybe do it after the 3 seasons that have already been established. Like between season 3 and the first movie would be a nice way of paying respect to canon while doing something new. It sets us up for 5 and 7 seasons if Paramount ever listens to fans and gets their shit together. What I would like to see is to see them continue to explore characters' backstory and interpersonal relationships. Like, can we finally get DC Fontana's episode about McCoy's daughter, because Kelvinverse has hinted at wanting to do it, but never got the chance, and it's a great script.
Oh, okay. That's
absolutely
good. Yeah. Nice. Love that answer. Eric, can you take NYRLites, please?
Go ahead. So I was thinking about how people have always said that we don't want to see a retreading of an old episode. I wouldn't mind it if we saw it from a perspective of someone else.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would absolutely be up for that.
Yes. Okay. Who am I on? NYRLite wrote, I'd be up for seeing pre-season 1 of TOS that would lead up to where no man has gone before. Then I'd want a time jump to essentially give us all the last 2 years of the 5-year voyage. I think it would be insulting to redo the original TOS episodes, but I'm fine with doing some elements as flashback scenes, such as showing Kirk's encounter with Khan in a post-Space Seed episode with La'an. Ooh.
Okay. Yeah, because we got to resolve La'an at some point in Stranger Worlds for sure. I will take Guan, who this is a first time mailbag. They just joined our Discord server, and because I'm not gonna say because of us, like yesterday. Nice. So this is pretty cool. This is their first mailbag. I don't think a TOS reboot would be a good idea. Part of my stance on this is that we've now had 4 TV shows set in that time period: TOS, TAS, Discovery, and Strange New Worlds. And there's arguably so much more you could do, but where do you draw a line? Even the TNG era had 6 shows: TNG, Voyager, DS9, Picard, Lower Decks, Prodigy. I'm all for Trek exploring alternate parts of the time frame, but I think it hurts itself as much as, say, Doctor Who does when they bring back David Tennant. It screams an inability to move forward like it used to. I'd love to see a pre-Enterprise series about the XCV-330 or a post-Picard series set maybe about an Enterprise possibly labeled H through J. Let sleeping dogs lie. Listen, it's a great point. It's a really good point. And a lot of the fandom, I think, would also argue this way. So I think it's well said. Back to the top. MC, can you take Mars's, please?
Mars wrote, "Oh, no, ma'am, Pam. I'm good with the TOS I've got at home. Plus, we all know how I feel about Mr. Wesley's Kirk. I'd like not to see an entire show revolving around him. Thank you ever so much. Blessings."
I don't
Mars
know Mars
is never not honest. Oh my God. Hawk, take us home with Matt Harker's, please.
Sure. Matt Harker wrote, "I don't think a reboot of TOS is the right way to go, no matter how much I love Uhura and Spock or how cool Scotty may yet be. We've already gotten the Kelvinverse as a reboot of a sort, and that's enough for me. Pick up where Picard left off, not even if it's not legacy. Move Trek forward." So yeah, some people are not looking forward to this.
I still say if you don't do legacy, you do an Expanse style Star Trek, like, where you move between different ships, different characters in that time frame, though, would be really cool.
100 years after TNG. That's what I want.
Okay. Yeah, I can dig that for sure. That's it, folks. We covered a lot. I really hope you enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed this one. I hope you guys enjoyed this one as well. We will be back next week. We are in the final countdown, baby. We are doing our deep dive and review 2 years later of Strange New World season 2. And then the next week will be in season 3. So let's go. Please please subscribe, hit that bell to get notified when we go live. We'll see you next week. For MC, for Hawk, for Eric, I'm Julian. Live long and prosper, Majram. Sarcastic Vulcan salute. Good night.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.